Hi, I'm Linda Lettieri. I am putting together this video to show the resource of a Rekenrek, which is a type of counting rack, for specifically in this case K1, where students are learning about numbers and values. The Rekenrek is a particularly useful tool because it anchors to 5 and 10, and we'll talk about that and what it means. So here on the screen is the Rekenrek. This is currently a free resource that you can find at this link up here, appsmathematicallearningcenter.org/number rack. And also available online is this really nice packet of different tasks you can do with the Rekenrek, which you can find here at mathlearningcenter.org sites, and then it continues on and on. So I think I will just let you take that down for a moment, and you can look at it online and or print it out for yourself and your child. And it has a lot of activities. The activities are noted as to whether they are good for K, K1, K2, and they are ordered so that you can continue learning about the Rekenrek as you go. Back to the number rack. So today what I wanted to do is show you the features of this online resource. As I said, it's free. You can use it at home with your child. One of the first features I want to show you is that by using this minus or plus sign, and in this way it's actually better than the actual counting racks, you can change the number of groups of 10 that is being shown. So for a kindergartner, I might take away one of these rods, especially if that child is at the beginning of kindergarten or maybe even in preschool, and just working on number values to 10. And the idea here is that as you move beads over to show a value, you can't help but also notice the relationship it has to 5 or to the full rod 10. So one of the first things a parent might do with a child is say, please show me the number 3. And at first, a child just developing number sense might very well take these beads over one at a time. 1, 2, 3. But later on, a parent might say to a child, can you show me the number 3 in just one push? And the change in that direction has the child starting to think about numbers as a unit. They're starting to think about a group of something. So in order to do that, you have to operate at a slightly higher level. You have to realize that by pushing these together, you are making a group of 3. And developmentally, that's a step up from needing to count one at a time. Notice, though, as we get into other numbers, the nice anchoring to either 5 or 10. If I ask a child, can they show me 6? Like that. I can then have a conversation about how they see that 6. And we can talk about the fact that 6 is actually 5 and 1 more. Similarly, if we were working on the number 9, some students might see that as 5 and 4 more, but others would say that they could very readily come over here if you ask them for 9 and do it in just one push because they know that it's 1 less than 10. They're leaving off this other number. So why is that important? In our number system, we are a base 10 number system, and thinking about these groups of 5 as you're developing number sense to 10, and then later thinking about how many groups of 10 we have as we're thinking about numbers, certainly in the teen numbers in grade 1, and we even start that in kindergarten. All of that is laying a strong foundation for our place value system and also flexibility in computation. You can wind up thinking about 5 facts in order to get things for 6, 7, and 8. You can also wind up thinking about relationships between 10 facts and 9 facts. There's a lot of different relationships that if you start with 5 or 10, computation becomes simpler, and certainly understanding our place value system becomes simpler. Now, another thing that you can do at home, and this is also in that packet, is you can play with your child by making numbers in the center. Oh, actually, I do want to show you something else first. Excuse me. A little new at making these recordings. You can also use their shade down here. A shade will allow you to block some of the vision. So I clicked on the shade. Once you've clicked on it, you can actually change the size and the shape of the shade. I like to make it about the length of the 2 rows. And what you can do with this is you can play at identifying whatever number you move over here and talking about how they knew so that they're not necessarily counting one by one. I'll show you how this looks. All right, let's say I move these over, wait a couple of seconds and cover it. And I ask my child what it is that they see. If they're not sure what they see, you simply let them see it again. Take another look and cover it. And the shade has an alternative of lifting up and lifting back down. I've become partial to lifting the whole thing and lifting it back down. Okay. They might say to you it's 7, and then you can have a conversation about how they knew that. And they might tell you they saw 5 and 2. So you can have those conversations by showing a 2 or 3 second view of a number and then covering it up. So it has that nice cover feature. And I'm going to get rid of that. Oh, the other thing I wanted to make a small aside of is for older students, this continues on to the point that you can have 100 rows of 10 or 10 rows of 10, 100 beads. 1, 2 rows now, 3, 4, 5, and you can stop at 50 for a while for students in 2nd grade who might be working on numbers within 50 for a while. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and suddenly you have the full 100 bead system. With this, you can choose to keep them all red and white in columns, or some people will use this next feature over here to make the bottom 50 different, so you can see that nice 50-50 break. It's really a personal preference there. But coming back to so while I'm here, though, I will just say, this makes it possible to talk about equal groups and multiplication from grade 3 and up. Let's say I want to look at what 3 times 6 is, or 3 groups of 6. I can take a look at that and see that one way to think about that is 3 groups of 5, and then just 3 more. There are all kinds of relationships you can see here. But then also, because there's 100 beads, students who are working on decimals for the first time can think of this as being one whole thing. I think for that I'd probably switch my colors back. And they can work on decimals with it too for older students. But back into K1 land now. Okay. So another thing that you can do with students is put the red side and the white side separately and work on making different combinations of a number in the center. Now, if you wanted to, you can even use their fancy text box here and put the number in the box, but you certainly don't have to. So I could decide we're working on 7. And then again, I can move the box. Once I've done that, I can resize the number right up here. If you feel like being fancy, you certainly don't have to do any of this to play the game. There we go. And now I can say, all right, or I can let my child choose first. What if we put 2? How can we make 7 in the middle now that there's 2? And so a child can think to themselves, perhaps, oh, I just need to move over 5 more. 5 and 2 make a 7. Or they might decide to do the 5 more on the bottom, another way to make 7. Or they might even say, you know, I think that what I would do is I'm going to use the bottom row and I would do 3 more. I know that makes 5 and 2 more. It just gives you a chance to have conversations about these different ways to make 7. Before going off of 7, you could do many different combinations. I would play again. Maybe what I would do is have my child start me off this time, and maybe they would start me off with 3. And I might say, okay, I am going to do this on the bottom row so that I can show you that I know 3 and 3 make 6 because I'm learning my double facts. But I did 1 more than that, and that's how I know there's 7. 3 and 3 is 6, and 1 more is 7. Or maybe I'm just working on the fact that 3 and 4 more make 7. Lots of conversations you can have all with this one tool, and lots of flexibility in the way that you can do it because of the fact that it lets you decide how many of these rods to show, and you have complete flexibility in what numbers you would like to work on. So as I said, there's this lovely packet online that will also walk you through some other ideas. I want to see if I can just quickly spot for you where it tends to talk about the grade level, because I do know they show that on here. If I can quickly see it, I will point it out. Let's see. I wish I would get right in there. I think these are all introductory comments. Here we go. So when you get to the activity numbers, the grade level that they're recommending it for is in here. So you can take a look at that. If your child's in kindergarten and you see some are not recommended for kindergarten, you know to wait off on those for a little while. And generally speaking, I do find that they put them in the order of introducing your child to the Rekenrek. So I hope this new resource was of interest to you and helpful. I would absolutely encourage you, please, reach out to me at any time. If you would like more information on these, if you have questions about them, if you have started using them with your child and find you have new questions, I would love to hear from you. You can just use my Valley Central email address, which is Linda, Linda, .Lettieri, Lettieri, at vcsdny.org. And I hope that you've enjoyed this video. Thank you.